The Chicago International Puppet Festival is a 12-day event that's been taking place in Chicago for several years. The event draws about 22,000 audience members who travel from around the world to be part of the biggest event dedicated to puppetry in North America. The festival offers more than 100 activities, including performances, workshops, free neighborhood events, and more at dozens of venues around Chicago. This is a wonderful interview conducted by Chicago Broadcasting Network contributor Kim Campbell, who is herself a performance artist, with her guests Sandy Smith Gerding, executive director of the Chicago International Puppet Festival, and Taylor Bibat, the festival coordinator and director of education. I urge you to stand by and listen not only for details of the festival events, but also interesting tidbits about the art of puppetry and the world of puppetry as a creative art form. This is Reno Levison, executive producer at Chicago Broadcasting Network, reminding you to please like and share our podcast episodes if you appreciate the content we provide, and be sure to subscribe if you'd like to be alerted when new content is added. Now, let's listen to Kim Campbell and her interview related to details about the Chicago International Puppet Festival.
Welcome. My name is Kim Campbell, and I'm bringing you a special preview and a roundup of the 8th edition of the Chicago International Puppet Theater Festival, taking place all over Chicago. It's a whole 12-day thing that happens every year, and this year it's from January 21st to February 1st. There are 100 events. There's opening and closing night events. There's a puppet hub where you can hang out and talk about puppetry, meet other puppeteers. There's a puppetry symposium, book talks, films, but most of all, there's puppet theater, a lot of shows. And we want to dig into those shows a little bit and learn more about the Puppet Festival. But first, let me introduce you to our guest today. We have Sandy Smith Gerding, the executive director of the Puppet Festival, and Taylor Bibat, coordinator and director of education. Hello.
Hello. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's so great to have you guys. Thank you for making time for me during this holiday break, which is a big deal, I know. And I know you've been working tirelessly behind the scenes to make all this happen. So I just want to cut right to the chase and get into some of the exciting things that are going to happen. One of the big things that's happening is Plexus Polaire is returning with opening night to do a show that they've done before, I believe, for us. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's true that Plexus Polaire is returning, but opening night will actually be Dead as a Dodo by Waka Waka.
Yes.
So if you saw the trilogy that we presented that opened at Steppenwolf, we had The Jellyfish Girl at Steppenwolf, and then we had Dead as a Dodo at the Biograph, and then we had, the
Animal Riot.
Animal Rights, thank you, at Steppenwolf 1700. So we presented the trilogy because we co-commissioned the development of Dead as a Dodo, which is a fantastic piece. And then when we opened Anywhere in New York last January, they were presenting Dead as a Dodo in New York. And so we got to see the sort of revamped version, and it's tightened and changed and gotten more exciting. And so we're excited to open that at the Studebaker on Wednesday, January 21st, Dead as a Dodo with Waka Waka. And then Plexus Polaire this year will have 2 shows with us. They are presenting A Doll's House at the DePaul Merle Reskin Theater, so in the Loop. And then also they're presenting Trust Me for a while at the Logan Center for the Arts in Hyde Park.
That's amazing. Yes, I remember now that it was Waka Waka. And I did see that trilogy, and I still have my Animal Riot hat, which I'm excited to wear this year.
Awesome.
So that's cool. I would like to talk for a minute about these hometown favorites that are happening at the festival. We have Manual Cinema, we have KT Shivak's Rhinoceron, and then we have Yara Arts Group presenting The Left Hand of Darkness. These are 3 local organizations or puppet companies. Tell us how those developments arose and get to be in the festival.
Well, the festival does a lot of different work to support the development of work and puppeteers in different ways. we have a burgeoning new work development program that includes a variety of ways that we support local puppeteers, like, providing space for working or assisting with project management or grant writing and, fiscal sponsorship, this sort of thing.
Mm.
Those three shows, The Left Hand of Darkness is actually a collaboration between Yara Arts Group and Untitled. So they're presenting this wonderful new work, and it's developed because Tom Lee, who's our co-director of the Chicago Puppet Studio and co-director of the Chicago Puppet Lab, has been working with Edward on the development of this work while he's been in residence at Northwestern's Wirtz Center
Mm.
in Chicago. So there's a Wirtz Center in Evanston and there's one in Chicago. And so this is at the Chicago one. And that's where that work will be presented. So we're really excited about that. And then KT Shivak has worked with the festival in a variety of ways over time as a designer. You may remember that she's a Jeff Award winner designer of working on that, the development of the Pinocchio puppet that the House Theater used ages ago.
Mhm.
And so KT has created this really fascinating work with her amazing design and manufacturing ability. And we actually presented it as a work in progress during the living room tour in springtime, and then it developed into something that could become a more complete show. And so there's some funding behind that, which is great, and that's been developing over time. So there have been some workshops as that has gained traction, and we're excited to have that at the Chopin
Mhm.
Theater. And then there's another Chicago show, which may come as a little bit of a surprise because it's sort of a late add-in. We had a show that couldn't come, actually. We had to cancel it and shift people to other tickets and other venues. But to sort of fill the gap, we had a show at the Living Room Tour in fall, and it was Blair Thomas's Does a Dog Have Buddha Nature?
Mhm.
And so I just said to Blair, is there any possibility that you could present that show with the saxophone quartet Noise, which is an Illinois-based organization? Could you possibly, even though you're so busy during the festival, could you present this performance? It was so fantastic. It's built on the Blackbird set, that it's a very large scale cranky set where four different cranky scrolls are each 100 feet long. They're hand painted on handmade paper. And it's an elaborate piece, not a long piece, but an elaborate and beautiful piece. And so he deliberated and then agreed. So, so we have a late addition to the festival, just to sort of round out some of the offerings. And so that'll be at the Chopin as well. So those are some of the Chicago artists that will be in the festival. But of course, Nasty, Brutish, and Short will be in the festival too. And Rough House and everyone involved in Nasty, Brutish, and Short
Mm.
will again be at Constellation. And we're really looking forward to seeing all of those local people.
Yeah, those are two more hometown specials I forgot about. I was excited to see Blair's Edition and just nabbed my ticket for that before it sold out, so I'm happy to hear about it. Nasty British and Short, interesting because there's four shows over the 2 weekends, so those are for the late night crowds, right? It's like a fun puppet slam. Taylor, do you want to describe a puppet slam for our listeners?
Yes, absolutely. So a puppet slam is generally an adult geared short form presentation. And so there may be 10 or 11 different pieces that are between 3 and 8 minutes long. And you get to see a lot of different things presented by a lot of different artists in a short amount of time. And a lot of them are amazing. A lot of them are in works in progress. And then some of them, I don't want to say this in the wrong way, but they end and then you get to see a new thing. So before anything gets boring or frustrating, you're on to a new thing. So if you want to just like see a whole big swath of different styles, different artists this year, or not this year, but in this festival, it is artists, also international artists who are visiting. And
Hmm.
so get to see them do some of their maybe work in progress stuff or some of their more cabaret, short form experimental stuff, which is always a lot of fun. And it's a party atmosphere too. It's at 10:30 at night, Fridays and Saturdays of the festival, and you get to go to Constellation where there's a bar and a lot of other puppet people and just celebrate
Yes.
like fun stuff and people trying new things, which is just like a real joy to see people trying new things as well.
I think the other thing about it that's great is, you know, Nasty British and Short goes year round. And
Hmm.
so the festival brings people who might not otherwise go to Nasty British and Short to see something that they, maybe it's a little fringe for them, but they can enjoy it year round. And then during the festival, it's a little bit different than during the rest of the year because I think and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think during the rest of the year, it's more works in development and a little more experimental and newer. And then during the festival, because we have some sort of ringer international artists come in with things that are really, they've probably performed many, many times,
Hmm.
that's combined with people who are bringing their best foot forward for the festival because they want to be able to be seen in a different way. And so some of the works during the festival are just a little bit different than the year-round works, where I would almost say it's more works in development during the year and cabaret style in the festival. But Kim, you've been in it, right? So you would
Yeah.
know best. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I think Myra and Caitlin do a really good job, like adding
Very
a variety of things and making sure it's balanced and stuff. I think that's really important. And yeah, I love the fact that the visiting festival artists always have like the key spot because it's so interesting and very accessible for like the Chicago community to come to that and see some international work. Maybe if the festival tickets sold out too fast or something, they know they're going to get to see some work that way. So yeah, it's pretty fun. And to your point, I mean, that is a lot of the festival programming is like geared towards adults. This is international works that are, you know, very contemporary as an art form. And the flip side of that is, when people think of puppets, they used to pretty much think of children, but you don't leave the children out, do you? I mean, you have some programming for children as well. Do you want to speak to that?
Sure. It's true that people have preconceived ideas about puppetry being for children, or maybe sometimes they even say, I've never really seen any puppetry. And then you say, well, have you seen the Muppets or maybe being John Malkovich or any number of the things that are in the public eye? And they're like, oh, I have seen puppetry. So with children's presentations, generally we've done about 20% for children, 80% for adults. Like we're really an adult festival.
Mhm.
But this year, we have a huge show coming into the Studebaker, which we're really excited about. It is The Enormous Crocodile. It's the adaptation of the book by Roald Dahl. And that is going to be a lot of fun. It'll be the second weekend of our festival. And then we also have two shows that are touring as part of the Free Neighborhood Tour. The Free Neighborhood Tour goes to areas in Chicago that may not otherwise have puppetry. Generally, we're at community centers or smaller organizations that have a space where they can gather people, but their primary thing is not presenting puppetry all the time. So the Free Neighborhood Tour is, as you might guess, free. And the show that will be touring this year is the first one is from Spain. It's Tian Gambo, and if you saw New Shoes at the Chicago Children's Theater years ago, then this is the same artist. He's bringing Stone by Stone, which is actually the piece that really is a very highly acclaimed of his. So we're excited about that. It's a wordless piece. It's for all ages. And then the other piece that we're bringing for the Free Neighborhood Tour is by Alexon Olmsted. It's called Happy Birthday, Mon Ami. And if you can imagine kind of a classic style Punch and Judy style set where somebody's in a vertical box, sort of proscenium setup, that is the scenario. So that is little bit longer. That's a 1 hour show. So those are the Free Neighborhood Tour and Enormous Crocodile. But I will say Enormous Crocodile has some amazing, amazing puppetry and puppets in it. And it's a musical and people just love it. So we hope everyone will come out to that. We really want to pack the house and have a great time with it. So I'm really looking forward to it. If you drive by the Fine Arts Building, you'll see a big banner up in the window.
Oh, that's great. It'll probably appeal to musical fans as well then, and theater fans that might otherwise not go to see puppetry.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Cool. Well, speaking of adults, another show you have programmed is called The Sex Lives of Puppets. I've heard about this one before, excited to see it. Can you tell me anything about that?
Sure. Well, Mark Down and Blind Summit are coming into town, and they're doing Sex Lives of Puppets at the Biograph Theater. We're going to have many presentations, many show times, so there are seats available, but they're also selling out. So if you want to see that, don't hesitate.
Okay.
Um, if you've seen the poster for the festival this year, you'll see this very charming, kind of sassy puppet on the front, Suki, and she is featured in that performance.
Cool.
The company that had the show The Table in 2015 at Chicago Shakes. And I know that for me, that was an incredible piece because it's three people, a table, a puppet made of cloth and cardboard. And this company is able to create this just really specific, intricate performances with such little resources other than their intense skill. My family loved The Table, and they're not puppet people. This company is just really one to check out. I say people don't let the sex word deter you. I know some people, this company is really, really spectacular in what they do.
That's a
Yeah,
good,
we'll have some really great shows there because Manual Cinema, which is, just the ultimate Chicago puppet company,
yeah.
they are premiering a Chicago premiere of their piece, The Fourth Witch.
Mhm.
And we are so excited about it to be at the Biograph. Maybe we're going to add another show. I don't know. I know it's nearly sold out, if not completely sold out. But Manual Cinema has done amazing work in Chicago. And as their name implies, they are making a film right in front of you. So, Manual Cinema, making a movie right there. And so you get to see the action of the audio being created, the action of the combined video and combined puppetry and costuming and all of this in all of its areas on the stage. And then in one screen up above, you see the film that's being created. So you can watch that show many different times because maybe one time you're focusing on the
Mhm.
overhead projections and another time you're focusing on the art, the actors running around to try to make it right into the shot at the right moment. It's really spectacular.
Yeah, I love them and everything they've ever done is so beautiful and intricate and amazing. Um, cool. I'm thinking a little bit now. There's this one event that's happening. It's called Theatre de la Massue, La Meridian. That seems like a special event. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
This is an unusual presentation. In a way, it's as much a dinner as it is a puppet presentation. So it is a 1 hour experience for 12 people, and there are only 12 people in the audience, if that makes sense. So what you do is you go, it's a chef created dinner, 12 people sitting at the table, and one by one, each person is taken into another room and they see a very brief 3 to 5 minute puppet show for one person. So
Hmm.
one person goes in, they see the puppet show, they're brought back to the table, then the next person goes in. And so we're really delighted because Chris Sullivan of Twilight Kitchen is going to be the chef, and then Théâtre de la Massue is coming from France, and they're setting up, it's their concept and everything, and their show. And so each person goes in and they see the exact same show over the course of 1 hour. And so it's a pretty special and unusual circumstance
Hmm.
because it is a gourmet dinner and a gourmet puppet show. It's at a different ticket price. So it's more like going out for a fancy meal with either by yourself to meet 11 people, or you could even buy all 12 seats if you want to take maybe your entire family and neighbors.
That's amazing. Yeah, and so each person sees the same thing, so they'd be able to discuss it together. It's not like they're piecing a mystery together or something, right?
Correct.
Okay, cool. That's interesting. Um, you have Katkatha Puppet Arts Trust doing About Ram.
Right. They'll be at the Dance Center of Columbia College. And I'm happy to say that just today, so what is it, December 30th, we found out that they got their visas approved. So what a
Yay.
relief. You know, the things that you just don't always know. I had a little laugh when you were like, oh, we're on the break. And it's in a way, we're on a break, right? Because it's sort of officially our office is closed and unofficially like ducks paddling under the water. You don't see what's happening on the surface. But today we found out that their visas came through. And so, yes, indeed, we will be hosting a company from India at the Dance Center of Columbia College. And we're really delighted about it, really.
That's amazing. I that's one of my questions later about visas, but we'll get to that. Okay. I am excited about A Doll's House by Plexus Polaire. Is that in miniature as well? I know you have a couple of like toy theater things, or is A Doll's House full scale?
A Doll's House is full scale. Not only is it full scale, it's actually in the largest theater that we're presenting in this year.
Okay.
We won't fill it all the way to the third balcony. We're going to mask off seats so that everyone has a good view, of course. But it is a large scale production, and you can see if you get our brochure, which if you don't, you should sign up on our website, chicagopuppetfest.org. We send out a beautiful 60-page brochure each year to show you each of the shows in detail. But if you see those images on the website, you'll see the artistic director Ingvild Espelli on the image with huge spider legs over
Yes, I
her
did see
side.
that picture. That's
Yeah, so it
amazing.
gives you a sense of scale. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. There is a toy theater one though. Is it the house? Okay, I was getting them a little transposed. What's the one that has miniature?
The
Um,
Matchbox
the
shows are
Matchbox.
definitely miniature.
Hmm.
Laura Height is presenting, actually, she has three things. She has an exhibition at the Fine Arts Building at the Puppet Hub.
Hmm.
And then also we'll have Laura Height short films at the Music Box Theater in Theater 2 there, the little theater, which we haven't been at the Music Box before. So that's an exciting new venue for us. And then we'll have the Matchbox shows at Constellation.
Yeah, you mentioned Puppet Hub a couple of times. Taylor, can you talk about the vibe at Puppet Hub, what it is, what it does?
Absolutely. So, if you want a cup of coffee or a cappuccino, you can come on over to the Puppet Hub room, Studio 433 in the Fine Arts Building. And Spoken Bird Cafe has lovely things to eat to keep you warm. And also, in addition to the food aspect, which of course we all love, there's also Laura Height's Two Ways Down exhibition there, and also Andrew Kim's Giant Puppet exhibition. And we have a workshop happening starting on the 11th of January. It's I think 10-day workshop, and Andrew Kim is going to lead folks in creating two giant puppets. Those puppets are going to perform in the festival, but when they're not performing, they're going to live in the Puppet Hub. So while you're having your latte and your soup, you can also check out these beautiful giant puppets created by Andrew Kim and his workshop participants. Andrew Kim is out of the UK Thingamajig Theater,
Okay.
and he does stuff all over the world. So it's really exciting to see his work up close and see like the artistry that goes into it. We also have a pop-up store at the hub, so you can get some t-shirts, you can get maybe there will be other special goodies this year. Dearmond. And so you can be representing the Puppet Festival, maybe on your head, maybe on your shirt for the rest of the year by getting some stuff at the pop-up store. There's also going to be merch every show, but if you want to see the bulk of it, get whatever specific size you want to come on up to Studio 433. And that's where we're going to be hanging out. So if you want to see other puppeteers, if you want to just like get a community vibe, that's kind of the central location.
So let it be known that Puppet Fest does not do anything small because, like, you got giant puppets, you have giant shows, many shows. It's the variety is it's mind-boggling how much stuff there is. I noticed on the website there is sort of like a calendar map kind of way to navigate it all and to see what's happening when. I feel like you also need to publish a guide on how not to overdo it when you're trying to do it all. Just maybe just for me, personally, but I think it could be useful for everybody.
At 12 days a year, overdo it. Come on.
That is how I've just been taking my vitamins and
All right, you
just
can
trying.
hibernate in February.
So, okay, let's do a little transition. Let's talk a little. There's so many shows, and I think we can dig into some of the things we didn't mention in the other questions that I'm going to ask. But I noticed this one's for you, Taylor, but maybe Sandy would like to answer it instead. You've talked about all the different venues over this 12 days, and I know that the festival has grown over the past 8 years to need more venues, which makes sense. But I'm also wondering if there's like a strategy to that. Is it a way to reach other audience members? How's that been going? Has there been any interesting connections you've made through that you want to talk about?
Andy, I'll let you take this one.
Well, I guess I would just say it seems like a simple idea to just place a show in a venue. But when it comes down to it, the demands of each show are so different that matching shows to venues is one of the great dilemmas. You want the sight lines to be right, the rake of the audience to be right, the number of seats, the amount of fly space, everything to be the right vibe and the right match for the scale and the work of the show. At the same time, you want to be all over Chicago. So, one great thing about the festival is that when we surveyed people, 67% of the audience went someplace they'd never been before. And
Mm.
so this is a group of people who love to go try new things and experiment and maybe go to a neighborhood or a venue they've never been to before, and that's a great part of the festival. And so what you mentioned is that at the front of our brochure and on our website we have a map of the city and where all the venues are, and we also have a schedule PDF which helps people plan because you do need to sort of run around a little bit to see everything. But it really gives you an idea of how broadly the festival reaches across the city. And it's really great to be in so many different venues of different styles and different vibes.
Yeah. Are there any trends that you've seen emerging in international puppetry that you're excited about this year and to bring to Chicago? I see Taylor thinking about that one.
I haven't unfortunately gotten to see a whole ton internationally, which I aim to change. This might be a good question for Blair, unless Sandy, you have thoughts on international trends.
Well, there is a leaning towards a little more circus and clowning than I had seen before. And then also there's a fair amount when we went to the French festival in Charleville-Mézières in September, which is one of the largest in the world, if not the largest. There were a lot of hand puppets where the hand is walking around and being the puppet. So tabletop with a hand. There was a fair amount of that, which is a lot of fun because it's amazing what people could do. And then that gets projected larger. And then I would say there's a lot of content where people who are not from the US are interested in doing work about the US with different perspectives, because they are thinking about the role of the US in the international landscape. And it's always interesting to say, like, oh, that is a non-US perspective about the US or on a US topic. And sometimes it's, on point, and sometimes it's not. You're like, well, you know, maybe there's something culturally where we don't represent that anymore. We're maybe a little more PC, or maybe we don't have someone just jump from New York to Texas because we have the concept of how absolutely enormous this country is. I would say those are some of the things I saw in the international work that I got to see most recently. And one of the pieces was really so terrific that when we saw Plexus Polaire do it in France, they had this little piece called Trust Me for a While, which we mentioned earlier. It has a ventriloquist in it, which we haven't really done ventriloquism precisely before. In different ways, puppets can be like that, but this is very specifically ventriloquist. So that work has to do with trust, what's true, what isn't true, and that's an international theme that I've seen popping up in puppetry, and that is very contemporary.
I like the idea of ventriloquism because that isn't currently a hot thing in puppetry. It sort of like has become a little less popular over the years, and I would love to see it revived in a new way. So that's kind of cool. Thank you for sharing that. Transitioning to the visa talk, kind of on that international topic, you've mentioned how, logistically enormous the whole scheduling thing is. Have you experienced a lot of issues around visa delays because of the current administration inserting itself into arts funding, or?
I will say that the visa process has always been very complicated, and it's also very expensive. And so this is something that's one of our biggest challenges, to raise money to pay for visas, and then to get all of the applications for all of the various people in a timely way,
Mm,
without what they call expediting, which means basically for us potentially doubling the cost of the visas.
mm,
So one difference is that while people used to be able to go to the embassy that was closest to them, now they may need to travel to an embassy in their home country in order to interview. In a kind of elaborate version, we have one company that they will all travel to a different city in their country, take an interview, go back to their originating city, wait for their next meeting, travel again to that other embassy, and then go back. And during that time period, their passports are held.
hmm.
And so if you're an artist traveling all the time, you really need your passport on you. You know,
Yeah.
you, it's not convenient to be leaving your passport somewhere for 7 days if you're someone who tours regularly. So it is a complicated situation, and it seems to be getting more complicated. Yes.
Yeah.
And for that company in particular, Anurupa Roy and her company have been working really, really hard on their end to get their embassy appointments. So while we're doing a lot over here and there's a lot of money and a lot of organization involved, there's also a lot of work on behalf of the artists,
Hmm.
checking in their case every day to see if there are embassy appointments and, reaching out to everybody that they know that might have some more thoughts, but they're really putting in a lot of work as well. So that's really, really appreciated.
So many hurdles for artists. No one explains that when you become artists, that there's going to be so much admin.
Right. Right.
Absolutely. And we have an amazing partner in the US who is working with us on our visas, Elise Ann Constantine, who does a lot of great work, and also Covey Law. So there are great resources in the US for helping specifically with artist visas.
Yeah. Something I'd like to ask you, Sandy, is, A lot of the arts funding has been also impacted this year by the federal government's stance on how to support the arts. I'm wondering how you keep the business model strong in the face of that.
Well, you're right. I think we know that the arts has a history of financial instability in the US.
Mm.
Um, and definitely when we see a drop in funding at the federal level or a refocusing at the federal level, it can really put us on our heels. I will say that the festival has gotten um, excellent support from the NEA, Illinois Arts Council, DCASE, which is the City of Chicago's Department of Special Events,
Hmm.
um, and also the Chicago Park District. We're thankfully an organization that's really been embraced. That said, the work to raise money is one of the hardest pieces. And as you say, artists, you don't expect to have to do so much admin. And there is a lot of admin behind the scenes to raise that money. And so I guess one of the balances is just a diversified income stream for the
Mm.
festival so that we're not too vulnerable in one area over another. We are very glad that we've had tourism funding support because we do bring in 22,000 audience members
Wow.
last year, which we're super excited about.
Mhm.
And doing that in January is no small feat. We have over 100 events and performances in just 12 days, and 22,000 audience members is just a real coup. And the city of Chicago knows and appreciates it. And so we're
Mm.
glad about that.
Is that
Um,
22,000 number not local? You mean from other states and other countries?
we have people coming in from all over the world,
Mhm.
all over the nation, and Chicago. So
Okay.
it's a
That's
combination.
everybody. Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I've met many international people,
Yeah.
especially through Catapult, which I thought was a really interesting artist intensive. I did it last year and it was really uh, helpful way to like network and see performances with people and the transportation from event to event, which was really very helpful. Um,
Taylor does a great job running
yeah,
that. Taylor,
I
you
think
should
so.
say what Catapult is, especially since you expanded it so heavily.
Well, that was my question. What's changed this year? So go for it, Tyler.
Absolutely. So Catapult is the 3-day experience for artists of all different kinds. And they are led by a leader this year. It's Sam Lewis and Erica Mott is doing second weekend. And they are in a cohort of people seeing shows. They get transported from show to show, which Kim, as you mentioned, is really helpful because our venues are all over the country, all over the city.
Almost.
And you really get to learn about people from all different places. There are Chicagoans who do Catapult, but I would say a lot of people who participate are come into town to do it.
Mhm.
So you're meeting different artists, you're meeting people from all different walks of life, and you're seeing all these shows together. And then you're moving from place to place in vans. So you get to see something and then digest what you've seen with other people who have really similar interests to you, but also a very diverse experience in life. So I think it's the best way to see the festival.
Yeah.
Uh, and this year we have 26 spots per session. So that means there's 52 catapult spots total for the 2 weekends combined. And that is, I believe that's what we did last year because last year we did it because we had more people than we expected to sign up. This year we just planned that we were going to have 2 vans of people per session and it is filling nicely. So if you would like to participate in Catapult, really get on it now. There's a wait list for session 1 and session 2. Snap up those tickets. And I personally thought, well, if we make it bigger, is that less intimate? And I think what we found, and Kim, you can attest to this,
Mm.
yes or no, that by having more people in the cohort, you actually have a bigger group of people from which to meet and keep in touch. And
Mhm.
does that seem
Yeah.
right?
No, that's true because at first I was like, this is silly. I'm local. Why should I do this? But I really did almost die from rushing from venue to venue the year before. And I was like, I need a break from that. This will be a nice way to like, meet people and have like a chill weekend. And it was really good. There was less stress about getting around, but the real highlight to it was a great way to socialize with people from around the country who had similar interests and kind of meet them on a deeper level than just standing in line with them. So yeah, I think it was a great way to socialize with those folks. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of them again at the fest this year, hopefully.
Well, I'll just say we had a fair number of New Yorkers
Yeah.
participate last year, and it reminds me that we have an incredible New York show coming, which is the Harlem Doll Palace
Mm.
by Alva Puppet Theater, and that's going to be at the Riva and David Logan Center for the Arts. And so I know we've had a few different New York companies, but it's just a reminder that, we may be the second city, but we've got New Yorkers coming to Chicago to check out our
Yeah,
puppet scene, and
that
I love it.
that's a
So,
triumph right there.
more of that, more of that.
I agree. Switching a little bit to the local folks, I wanted to ask, we've talked a little bit about how Nasty British and Short kind of works with the local puppeteers and community. What types of activities does Puppet Fest offer during the fest week to the really large puppet community? The festival has been kind of integral in building, and now, is so big, the puppet community, that almost is hard to accommodate all the people coming into town and them. What kind of things do you do to make sure that they get to be involved?
Well, I'll pass it to Taylor in just a minute because she does run a lot of this portion. I'll say we have a lot of free events that people can participate in.
Hmm.
The symposium, we have panels each weekend from 10 to 12 at the Fine Arts Building, where you can hear the artists talk about their work on different topics. That are local people, international people, but a lot of locals like to go and then they can meet the artists who are coming in and talking about those programs. We have book talks that are happening at the Fine Arts Building. We have workshops, which I know Taylor will tell you more about. But we also just having the hub is a place where anyone can say, like, oh, meet me at the hub.
Yeah,
Let's hang out there together and cross paths. We also, on opening night, which I hope everyone attends, we have a prelude reception where all of the directors of the international shows come together and you can meet those people. And also after opening night, we have a party. So there are a lot of ways for people to network with people who, it may be their only time coming to Chicago for a while.
yeah.
So until you can tell about the master classes and all of the other activities.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sandy did a wonderful job of highlighting all of the amazing things. Some of the things that are specifically for puppet artists are these workshops. So we have 15 workshops this year. One of them takes place before the festival, which is the Andrew Kim workshop, and then we have 14 workshops between the days of the festival, between
Mm-hmm.
the 21st. And those are taught by the festival artists. And it's a really amazing way for puppeteers to, whether or not they've seen the show, they get to meet these artists. They get to spend not one-on-one time, but it's like there are 16 people per workshop. So you
Hmm.
really get these artists, you get to learn the inside, you can ask them questions, but they are all teaching things that relate to the shows that they're presenting too. So they're great complements to seeing their work on stage. Some of the highlights there, we have one that I am personally really excited about is Alva Rogers, who is presenting Harlem Doll Palace, is teaching how to make a topsy-turvy puppet.
Hmm.
So that is a style of doll that it has historical significance in the Black community, and it's going to be something where you're really hands-on, you're making something, you get to take something away, but she's also going to talk about the historical significance of this form, which is a puppet or a doll or puppet that has a head on one side and a skirt and then you can flip it upside down and the skirt goes the other way and there's another character. So it is topsy-turvy. You can turn it around. And she can tell you more when you take the workshop, but they used it to teach white girls how to care for their slaves. So there's a really deep importance to learning about the parts of our history that are more challenging. So that is one workshop that I think is going to be exceptional. And there are a great number of puppetry manipulation workshops. So you have Mark Down, who's going to teach about this improvising with hands and voice, which is they use in their work. And we have Anurupa Roy, who is going to teach three-person puppetry, which is the dominant, I would say that this style of or not Americanized, but contemporary bunraku style, it is a predominant style that you'll see in our festival as well as other contemporary festivals, where it's three people puppeteering one form, and you're really able to get that specific manipulation and movement with those three people. And so she's going to be teaching that. We also have a new, I think, very exciting workshop taught by Paulette Richards, who is also the co-director of the symposium. And she is going to be talking about AI. And so whether you have hesitations about AI or you embrace it fully, having a place to talk about it with other artists, to learn about what's happening right now in AI as relates to puppetry or animation, but then also getting to really talk about what that means for you as an artist, what it means for the industry, I think is a really exciting and valuable 3 hours that Paulette is providing.
Well, I'm going to go to that one. That's going to get contentious. There's a lot of strong feelings on both sides of the table about that topic. Yeah.
Yeah, she is really going to be able to present facts and also facilitate strong thoughts both
Yeah.
ways.
Sure.
It's not going away,
Yeah.
and it's for us to talk about. And I don't think there's a wrong opinion right now. So I think
Yeah.
that's really
We
important
need
to
that debate. Yeah. Well, that's really great, guys. I have one last question because we are getting rather long with our talk and we've had so much to cover and it makes sense. Actually, I have two questions. One's pretty simple, but the one that's a little less simple is, I've looked at your 5-year strategy online. You're very transparent about it, and we're coming to the end of that period. And it seems like you've checked off everything pretty much on all the little check boxes. So, how do you feel it's gone over the past 5 years? And, as briefly as you can answer, what are some of the next steps that you think you'll be facing? And if this is a Blair question, I understand, and it's okay.
Well, Kim, let me just say, when somebody likes our strategic plan, it makes me so happy. I'm such a nerd. So that was a very in-depth process. It took a long time. We had all sorts of gatherings of people working on that plan, and it just has gone so beautifully. So the short answer is how do I feel about it? Great. And yes, that plan is to go through 2026, and we're to the point where we're ready to re-up it and do the next 5 years. So I would say I could tell you how it's going to go, except that that's not how good strategic planning works when you're working
Right.
in an organization that has a lot of stakeholders. It's this is something that we work out as a whole community and develop together with a trajectory. Of course, there's a lot of leadership involved. I'm not saying that it's, all bottom up or anything like this, but we're really excited about the next 5 years. And yeah, things are looking good. Thanks for bringing that up. I'm delighted
Yeah.
at where we've come to.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm sure you'll be taking all the data from these past 5 years into consideration and thinking about a new direction. And what you want to add and what didn't work as well as you hoped and all that stuff. And look forward to, and it'll probably take you all year to do it, I'm imagining, in 2026 after the festival. So congrats on that. My last question is, why is Chicago the perfect town for the festival? And don't say it's the snow.
Well, the snow doesn't hurt, it's very beautiful when it's snowing here. I think Chicago, first of all, we're right in the middle. We have this sensibility that is the Midwest on the one hand, but we're also, we're an international hub for airlines and
Mhm.
travel and shows and all sorts of things. Many people come to Chicago and they look at Lake Michigan, which the city is right on Lake Michigan, and they can't believe it's not an ocean. You don't see the other side. This is a very, very beautiful metropolis, and I think a lot of hay is made in the media in order to make Chicago look dramatic,
Mhm.
which it is a dramatic city. It's true. We have a lot going on here and a lot, like every big city, there's a lot to contend with and take care of. And, there are all sorts of problems in the US and elsewhere that need care. But that is not the majority of the experience. I will just personally say my family's been living here for ages, and I've raised three kids in the public school system, and I just love this city. It is fantastic, and when people come to visit, they're always surprised and delighted at what a fantastic, it's beautiful, the architecture is beautiful. People are friendly and welcoming, and it's just a great place to be. And also,
Good.
there's no bad weather, just bad clothing, so dress well and have fun.
Yes, that is true. Well, thank you so much for taking a time out of your day to talk to me, Taylor and Sandy. I really appreciate it. And I'm wishing you a wonderful, smooth festival experience with lots of exciting moments.
Great to be with you, Kim. I hope you get some puppetry in this winter break here.
Thank you.
Wow, thanks to Kim Campbell and her guests for this entertaining and informative interview. If you want to get tickets or learn more about the Chicago International Puppet Festival, be sure to visit chicagopuppetfest.org. I'll put a link on our website. When you're there, look for other episodes related to things happening around Chicago, including our recent 2025 recap of plays and performers we particularly enjoyed this past year. I'd like to give a shout out to comedian Erica Rhodes, who performed a great stand-up set last night at Zanies in Rosemont. Erica has roots in Chicago through her father's family, and her short appearance on WGN News last year went viral, getting over 1 million views online. By the way, I'm slightly embarrassed to say that I've not previously visited the entertainment district in Rosemont, and I was a bit astounded. The outdoor mall-like atmosphere features about a dozen restaurants and entertainment venues, including Zanies, a dueling piano bar, a country western music bar, a tiki bar, and more, with plenty of adjacent parking. At Chicago Broadcasting Network, we focus on lifestyle, culture, history, and local business within the confines of the city, and try not to cover all of Chicagoland, except when we feel it's of particular interest. But if you look at a map of the city, you'll see that there is an official corridor that attaches O'Hare Airport to the city. So I guess Rosemont is not that much of a stretch. So I'll be keeping an eye on happenings in that area. This is Reno Levison, executive producer at Chicago Broadcasting Network, reminding you, if you need marketing or video production assistance for your business or organization, check out renoweb.net.